What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so my last particular video I did, I was talking about some ridiculous statements that Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards made in regards to the era that came before him. Um, in particular, he was talking about the era that Michael Jordan played in, but if you listen to what he was saying, technically he was talking about the era before LeBron, which includes like the 2000s, because he said the era that he didn't watch. You know what I'm saying? He was talking about pretty much everything before 2010, I would say. But specifically, he was talking about Michael Jordan when he played. Now, remember, he hasn't played since 2003. And he said that Michael Jordan was the only skilled player of his era, which is one of the most ridiculous statements I think I've ever heard when it pertains to sports. And he's getting people, everybody, anybody without an agenda and common sense anyway, they're destroying him on social media. One of them is Hall of Famer Isiah Thomas. And Isiah Thomas, when someone showed him a link of what was said, let me say this first. Let me just rehash some of these things. Let me say what Ant said. Now, Ant said, quote, they said it was tougher back then than it is now, some of the era, but I don't think anybody had skill back then. Jordan was the only one that really had skill. You know what I mean? So that's why when they saw Kobe, they were like, "Oh my God!" But now everybody has skill. Lord have mercy. Yeah, so I guess that skill is why Joe Harris didn't last very long in the NBA. But anyway, um, these comments absolutely just pissed Isiah Thomas off. He said, "quote Propaganda works, so be careful what you choose to believe." And that is so very, very true. And that's why when I made my video, I referenced how some of the blame, a lot of the blame, has to go to what's out there now, what's being put out there, what's being promoted. And that's why I brought up Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, and I didn't want to go into too much detail, but that not they were the people who pretty much helped kickstart this dumbing down of sports culture. But it's been sped up by, honestly, I'm just gonna come around and say it, Clutch Sports. When you have an agenda, and your agenda is to not just to promote one particular player, but also a group of players, usually players signed to that sports agency. But it ain't just the agency no more. It's a whole movement now. And the business of sports, the business of the NBA, is to promote a product. It's become um, radical. It's almost like, I don't know if I want to say the word radicalized, because it's almost like it doesn't go with sports business, but it has become radicalized because they're trying to make money purely off of people's ignorance. So they're trying to promote the here and now. They're trying to promote everybody from the scrub with ass splinters on the bench. Somehow they're better than the superstars of 50 years ago. That's why you have people out there saying ridiculous things like uh, Wilt Chamberlain would be a guy on the bench today. Uh, Larry Bird wouldn't even be starting in today's NBA. Elgin Baylor wouldn't be better than, you know, just trying to think of somebody. He wouldn't be better than, say, Al Horford today. So you got people that saying these ridiculous things, but they're getting a lot of views. A lot of young people, they're listening to these people because they're younger. You know what I'm saying? They're on social media, they're watching this stuff, and they believe it. That's why you got young people out here today that don't believe that dinosaurs existed. They believe that the earth is flat. I'm not even getting into that one. They believe that you know, they believe all these weird conspiracy theories. They believe all these things that's been put out there and promoted because that's what they see, instead of taking the time to do their own research. See, that's why I think that my generation was one of the last ones to have any genuine, real knowledge. Well, I can't say that. I don't want to say that. Let me back up, because I'm not trying to piss people off. No. There are very smart young people today. But I think my generation was the last one that really had to actually put some effort in to do research. Like, we couldn't just pick up a phone and just go to Google and find out information. We had to go to libraries. We had to actually read, you know what I'm saying, published works from experts, people that actually played in those eras, or people who were historians, and they wrote books, and we had to read these books. So, you know, somebody that actually knew what the hell they was talking about, not just someone on YouTube trying to get AdSense with clickbait titles, and very limited, knowledge of what they're talking about. But because they're good at talking, they got a gift of gab. They sound like they know what they're talking about, but they really don't. You know what I'm saying? We had to speak to elders, and they would give us their input. You know, sometimes we were lucky. We spoke to some sports fans that were older, who told us, some things about the game. We had to do real research. Ever since social media, you would think there would be a lot of informed people, but it's not. It's made people lazier. Technology has made people lazier, man. And at the end of the day, it's made us physically lazier, and intellectually more lazy. And that's why you got a guy like Anthony Edwards, who I don't think is a stupid person, but I do believe that he, you know what I'm saying, is regurgitating a lot of false and misleading stuff. To say that Michael Jordan's the only player to have skill in his era is ridiculous. Okay, so if Michael Jordan's the only player to have skill, right? Well, why didn't he just come to the NBA and just dominate from the get-go? Like, when I say dominate, I don't mean from an individual standpoint. Why it took him 7 years to start winning? Why was he losing to Bird's Celtics and Isaiah's Pistons? And, why was he having issues? Why was he struggling? Because apparently, if you're saying there was no other skilled players, surely he should have just came into the NBA getting at least to the second round of playoffs from his first year. He should have been going to at least the conference finals and the finals from his second year onward if he didn't have any resistance. Why were these teams still beating him? And he had Scottie Pippen, right? The guy who some of y'all say was better than him. So if he wasn't playing against nobody, why was he losing? Why was he averaging 35 points per game in series and losing in 4 or 5 games? This agenda that they're putting out there, and it doesn't help that you got a lot of these low IQ primates and knuckle draggers who got their little, channels and, platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, and they're putting out false information themselves. So it's a large system. It's like 90% of the stuff that's out there is garbage. And then the people who actually doing time to take the research, we're the ones that's being limited. We're the ones who don't have a platform. We're the ones that are not getting a leg up. We're the ones who somehow are being pushed down to the side. So like how television works, you know what I'm saying? Most of television is just 90% garbage. And the informative stuff, that's not getting any views. That's why we have a society full of idiots. Idiocracy in real time. It's idiocracy in real life. That's why you have 2 viable candidates running for president right now who don't speak a lick of policy, only about what the other person is so bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just real. It's political beef. It's like Biggie and Tupac running for president, just speaking about how bad and how stupid the other side is, not giving you any reason to actually vote for them. Can't give you any defining, especially with Kamala Harris. Can't even speak off of script. Afraid her handlers and the Democratic Party are so afraid of this woman speaking off the cuff because she'll be exposed. Trump, he will speak on off the cuff, but he hurts himself because he keeps saying dumb shit. This is what we're reduced to. And then if you actually say, man, I want them to speak on policy. I want them to give me a reasonable form. Somehow I'm the bad guy. But, Malcolm X said one time that, if you're not careful, the media will have you rooting for your enemy and cheering against the people who are for you. But anyway, that's all I got to say on that one. Tell me what you guys think.